Like a timer clock was like
Yeah.
running.
It used to be really long games. Now they're much faster.
Yeah.
There's a long history of baseball in America.
Right.
They call it America's pastime.
Okay.
Tom Brady doesn't usually open up like this, but when he sat down with Gary Neville and Roy Keane on Stick to Football, the 7-time Super Bowl champion let his guard down completely, and what came out was one of the most honest conversations about greatness, pressure, and football that anyone has ever pulled out of him. It starts with a name that stops most athletes in their tracks: Cristiano Ronaldo. Brady didn't hold back. He called him one of the greatest competitors he has ever come across, someone whose mentality matches his own pound for pound. The hosts pushed him, half joking that Ronaldo basically talked him into coming out of retirement. Brady laughed it off, but he didn't deny that a conversation happened. He said it sounds exactly like something Ronaldo would do, because elite people recognize elite people, and they pull each other forward even across completely different sports. Then the conversation turned to football, the Real football, the one most of the world calls soccer. Brady admitted something that surprised even the hosts. He said there is no greater passer of a football than Aaron Rodgers, comparing the way the ball leaves his hand to watching Roberto Carlos strike a football. He said you can watch 1,000 quarterbacks throw a pass, and then you see one guy do it, and it looks like something else entirely. A bullet. Effortless. That is how he sees Rodgers. And that is the kind of comparison that only makes sense coming from someone who has spent his whole life chasing perfection in his own craft. But the moment that really pulled people in was when Brady talked about the World Cup. He went to the Brazil versus Morocco match with his 3 kids and his close friend Michael Rubin, and he didn't hide his excitement. He said he grew up loving Brazilian soccer, watching the original Ronaldo play, and that 2 of his own children are Brazilian, so the whole family was cheering loudly in the stands. He was honest about the performance, too. He admitted Brazil didn't look like the dominant force everyone expected, but he believes they will grow into the tournament as it goes on. And he revealed he is already locked in for the World Cup final, which will be held in New Jersey. Then came the moment everyone has been waiting to hear him explain directly. Did Tom Brady really fall asleep before a Super Bowl? He confirmed it himself, no dodging, no spin. It happened before the Super Bowl that took place right after September 11th. The pregame show ran long that year. The players had already warmed up early, and Brady simply walked back to his locker, lay down, and drifted off. He was careful to clarify what that actually meant. This wasn't 2 hours of deep sleep with a pillow. It was 10 minutes, a genuine power nap, right there on the floor in front of his locker surrounded by 60 teammates in one of the biggest moments of his career. The hosts couldn't quite believe the calmness of it, joking that nobody else on earth could nap minutes before stepping onto the biggest stage in American sport. Brady just shrugged. To him, it was simply what his body needed in that moment. From there, the conversation drifted into lighter territory, but it stayed just as revealing. Brady talked about his sports card collection, one of the largest in the world, built across 16 shops around the United States, with a 17th opening in Kansas City. Mid-conversation, someone handed him a card from his own playing days, a memory from a 2014 championship game against the Colts, and Brady recalled the entire play from memory. Instantly, the kind of recall that only comes from someone who has lived every single down of his career in his head over and over again. There was also a fun back and forth about money. Brady revealed his biggest contract came with Tampa, around $27 to $28 million a year across 3 years, putting it near $90 million total. He pointed out that today's top quarterbacks are signing extensions worth $55 to $60 million a season, a number that left even him visibly stunned saying it out loud. When asked directly if he would ever consider playing again, there was no hesitation. Finished. Done. No second thoughts. And then there was the moment that says everything about who Tom Brady really is. He admitted, plainly, that he hates being called the GOAT, not because he doesn't accept the achievements, but because the label has never sat comfortably with him. He said he simply did his best every single time and let the results speak for themselves. The episode closed with a lighter Instagram quiz. guessing the 7 most followed athletes in the world. Ronaldo and Messi were locked in instantly. LeBron James followed. Then came a surprising entry, Indian cricket legend Virat Kohli, a name that genuinely stumped the panel before Brady himself helped guide them toward the answer. Names like Neymar, David Beckham, and Kylian Mbappe rounded out the list, with Brady quietly nailing several of the guesses himself, proving that beneath the 7 Super Bowl rings is still a guy who pays attention to sport far beyond his own. By the end of the conversation, what stood out most wasn't the records or the rings. It was how Brady talked about greatness in other people, Ronaldo, Messi, Rodgers, Beckham, with the same respect he would want shown to himself. A man who built an entire legacy on obsession with the smallest details, openly admitting he once needed 10 minutes of sleep before the biggest game of his life. That contradiction, total control, and complete humanity in the same breath is exactly why this conversation has people talking. If there is one thing this episode proves, it's that even the greatest of all time still sees the game, every kind of game, through the eyes of someone who simply loves watching other people chase the same perfection he spent his whole career hunting.